Hello everybody and welcome back to Ace Attorney. We are taking a short recess, after which we will convict Adrian Andrews of murder, and I don't think she did it! Or at least I don't know enough, but I don't like this. Dude, I can't believe that Adrian— no way, not cool and collected Adrian Andrews. She is your manager. It would have been very easy for her to pull this off. I mean, I guess. The only person who had easy access to the knife you used at dinner was, well, her, capital H. So after the ceremony during the break, huh? Again, I thought that was a boob window. I thought it doesn't, like, I didn't realize it was a book or a clipboard or whatever. I was sleeping like a log the entire time. See, she could have also easily planted that blood-covered button in your hakama. Because she was the one that came to wake me up? I mean, I guess. Then, dude, you're saying it really was her? Yes, she is the real killer. She's the one who murdered Juan Corrida, we think. But why? I thought she was buds with Juan. Well, I mean... yeah, now we know about all the whole situation with her and, her girl best friend. How old is she? Her age is deceased. I guess we'll never know. Regardless, she has her own agenda. Her own agenda? What are you talking about? I'm sure you'll see by the time this trial's over. Probably! I mean, we don't really know. It'll be alright. I'll get you acquitted by the end of today, or Maya dies. Get me a verdict that's refreshing like a spring breeze, okay, Mr. Lawyer Dude? Phoenix. You think her motive is related to Celeste Impax's missing suicide note, right? Yes. There's really no other conclusion we can draw from the given information. Ms. Andrews depended on Ms. Impax for her strength and will to live. But then Ms. Impax suddenly killed herself, and she was discovered by Speed Racer. It sounds like she left a suicide note and the person thought to have hidden it is Juan Corrida, the victim of this murder. And that's why I think that Ms. Andrews got close to Mr. Corrida, excuse me, misgendered you, sir, all to get the suicide note back. That sounds plausible, but one thing bothers me, and it's undoubtedly very important if Mia thought of it. What? Who was it that first told us about their relationship? Better stated, Mr. Andrews' codependency with regards to Ms. Impax? It was Edgeworth. It looks like he's still the one in command of this ship. Yeah, and? So what? He tops. It doesn't matter. Don't let your guard down yet. Mia, I appreciate it. Edgeworth has led us into many a trap before, but I think he's a changed man. I think he's cool now. And also, like, Von Karma got shot, so... Court will now reconvene. Now then, Mr. Edgeworth, if you please. The prosecution calls the witness I don't know how to say this word! I should have looked it up between episodes! Fuck! The prosecution calls the witness subpoenaed by this court Ms. Adrian Andrews, the person who discovered the crime in Mr. Juan Corrida's room. God, I'm gonna struggle differentiating between Edgeworth and Adrian Andrews' voice, but I'm gonna try. What is your occupation? I am the manager of the defendant in this case, Mr. Matt on guard. I barely have voices for most of these people. I'm sorry. My range is tiny. My range is like this. I'm holding my fingers apart, not very far. You can't see it because this is an audio-only medium. I see. Now then. Before we begin, Your Honor, I have one request. Yes, sure. What is it? I'm sure everyone in this room is wondering the same thing, and would love to find out more about my relationship with the victim. After all, it was the topic of a certain weekly magazine recently. Ah, no, I have no idea what you mean. I've never even read Shonen Jump. If the judge was ever a prosecution witness, he'd do all my work for me. I'm saying. Anyway, I was wondering if you could please tell us about your relation to the victim. Yes, I was seeing Mr. Corrida. Fuck. I don't know what it is about this name that fucks me up every time. I was also aware of the rivalry that existed between Matt and Juan. But this was a private matter between Juan and myself. So it was a fry and bait matter. Or was that a bait and fry? Oh, it's that with the loud-ass car again. I hate him. He revs it at 3 a.m. Your dick is tiny. Interrupting my recording. I'll punch and kick you forever. Reminds me of fishing. But I didn't kill him. No one has accused you of that, except for Mr. Wright a few minutes from now. I've got a feeling someone will soon. Yeah, Phoenix. I think we all understand your relationship with the victim now, Miss Andrews. Very well then. Witness, please testify to the court about what happened when you discovered the murder that had taken place. That space was quite funny. Good old run-on sentences. It was time for the show to start, so I went to get Matt up. I thought they were going to say his surname, and I got ahead of myself. I went to get Matt from his room. After that, I went to Juan's room. And there was his dead body. I was in shock. Oh yeah, that's for putting down the glass. What I saw was, naturally, the exact same scene as in the crime scene photo. I feel like that's going to be a subject of contention. I felt as though I was about to faint, so I poured myself a glass of juice. What? In the room with him? That's sauce. You poured yourself a glass of juice? Yes, sadly, I didn't remember not to touch things at the scene of a crime. And I disturbed the crime scene by moving this one thing. And that is when the fingerprints on the wine glass were made, Your Honor. I see. Well, Mr. Wright, you may cross-examine the witness. Phoenix. She is one cool and collected customer, and she has the brains to match. Yes, I know. In order to catch a person like her, you have to avoid head-on confrontations. Really? Well, I guess because Wright has, like, he will lose his cool before she does and look like an idiot. You should disrupt her pace. Disrupt her pace? She's the type of woman who is easily thrown off by things inconsistent with her thinking, so you have to attack when she least expects it. Now I've thrown them off his rhythm. The instant you're let up in your offense is the instant this trial is over. Understand? Okay. Kind of, I think. I guess we'll just press for now. It was time for the show to start, so I went to get Matt from his room. Hold it! Why did you do that? Because it was time for the show to start. Oh. And what was Mr. On Guard doing at the time? He was taking a nap. But like a loser. In his costume? I guess. Probably no time to change, really. He was worn out from his... Wait, but then how did she get the costume off? Unless there was, like, multiple costumes? Or she's lying. He was worn out from his mini-performance as the Nickel Samurai during the ceremony. Mr. On Guard did say he was taking a nap. I guess you could say it could not have been taken out of his room, yes? Excuse me? It? What are you... Right, I thought years of school would have taught you how to construct a sentence. Bro! You can't do him like this. If you can't make a sensible sentence with a subject, then I'll make one for you. Watch. Did you, Miss Andrews, remove Mr. On Guard's knife from his room? I thought he was talking about the costume, but... okay. Good God, Edgeworth. No. Subject, verb, object, right? Did you skip basic grammar? The witness may continue. That's rich coming from a guy who should have used an Oxford comma after object, but that's okay. Don't you talk to me what I know about grammar, bud. After that I went to Juan's room. Oh, that's the wrong button. My B. And why did you do that? As a friendly jester, Juan was to make an appearance with the other heroes. Did I say jester? I'm so sorry. As a friendly clown, Juan was to make an appearance with the other heroes. So the show is supposed to be a show of friendship, huh? Press further is always the answer. Is that the only reason? I beg your pardon. What are you implying? You had a certain goal in mind when you started to get close to him, correct? So perhaps you had a more personal matter to discuss with the victim? Sorry, but I didn't have any such intentions in mind at that time. I can't get her to talk without a strong piece of evidence, I guess. May we continue now? Witness, what did you see when you got to his room? And there was his dead body. I was in shock. Well, you hesitated there, so we're pressing. You were in shock? What does that mean? What? Was I not supposed to be? Miss Andrews is a very calculating person. Despite how close they were, I doubt she had romantic feelings for Mr. Corridor. Anyone randomly stumbling upon a dead body would be in shock, right? Jesus Christ. Most people don't see this stuff before breakfast. And you can't seriously expect that a young beauty like her would not be shocked. I'm a feminist, by the way. Somehow, I don't think beauty has anything to do with being shocked or not. I see. So the more beautiful you are, the more shocking things are. The judge writes this down in his little notepad of things Judge learned today. This is the photo you're referring to, correct? Yes, the one with the knife lodged in his chest. It's kind of hard to see in the black and white, but that's okay. And the guitar case is like this too? This comma too? Yes, it was open and empty, of course. And then what did you do next, witness? Good question. I felt as though I was about to faint, so I poured myself a glass of juice. That is such a weird thing. We have no choice but to press it. Juice? Yes, he's Berta's friend in Dragon Ball Z. There was a bottle of tomato juice on the table, so I helped myself. But you didn't drink any of it, did you? Huh? Oh yeah, because it was full. There were no lip marks. I don't remember it saying specifically no lip marks. Hang on. Okay, well, sure. I guess Phoenix is just gonna make that make that observation now of all times. There were no lip marks left in this wine glass to suggest that anyone drank from it. I wasn't feeling terribly great, so I set the glass down without drinking it. Ms. Andrews, I would like to confirm with you one more time. When you discovered the dead body of Juan Corridor, you were in great shock. And that's when you poured yourself the glass of juice, correct? And what of it? Well, just that's really fucking weird. My mind really was a complete blank at the time. And I thought, fuck it, juice. Your mind was a complete blank? I didn't think that was possible for you. Aren't you rude today? I was so dazed that I made one careless mistake. That one thing. What one thing? The thing we're talking about, Phoenix! Oh my god, this is such a circular discussion. Never mind. It's no big deal. What was she starting to say just now? Yeah, what the fuck were you just trying to say? What do you mean, never mind? Ms. Andrews, I'm convinced that, as you said, you made a mistake at the scene of the crime. What I really want to know is what this mistake was. Actually, so would I. I'm sorry, it's kind of embarrassing. When I set the glass down in the dresser, I accidentally knocked the flower vase over. Oh my god, look at her stance, and what is she wearing? What are those pants? Mint? Maybe she's not as well dressed as I thought. Flower vase? Are you talking about the one on the floor in the crime photo? This mess of glass shards? It was originally on top of the dresser, but when I bumped into it with my elbow, it fell onto the guitar case. No! It was wet on top of the guitar case, so it was closed when you saw it. I fucking got you! Why did you withhold such an important piece of information? I'm sorry. I thought that since the crime scene was already in disarray, that people would simply assume the vase was just another part of the mess, thus making us make false assumptions about what happened in the murder. Looks like yet another fact has come to light here, and I'm gonna point at it and yell! Please add this and anything else you have to reveal to your testimony. Yes, please. I'm sorry, but I have nothing more to add. I didn't touch anything else. I think Edgeworth knows what I'm on about. It fell onto the McFucking guitar case, which was, closed. You testified that you knocked the flower vase over. Is this correct? Yes, you heard me do it just a second ago. And are you sure it fell into the guitar case? Is there some problem with what I said? It's not some problem. It's a major problem. It's true that the top of the guitar case is wet with water. Water is wet. However, that's exactly what is so strange. Ms. Andrews, you testified that the vase fell into the guitar case. However, if that was true, the case should have gotten wet on the inside, not the outside. Yeah, that's right. I'm smart. That's very true. True dat, Phoenix Wright. Furthermore, there is one other strange thing about this guitar case. And what is that? Let's take another look at the crime scene photo. You'll notice that there's no guitar in it. Guitars are supposed to have guitar cases are supposed to have guitars in them. I fucked up my own joke. The remains of the vase are scattered onto the floor. Wait, yeah, some should have fallen into the case. And what is wrong with that? If the guitar case was open when the vase fell, the glass shard should be inside, not outside the case. I'm saying we are like this today. Our brains. Ah! Sorry, I had to swallow. What is your point, right? That the case was closed at the time the vase was knocked over? Is that all? No. Think back to what Miss Andrews testified to. She said that other than the vase, she didn't touch anything else. Yes, that's right. She did implicitly say... No. Well, I guess... I was gonna say it should be probably explicitly, but I guess she didn't say it in those specific words. Anyway, but this whole matter with the guitar case is a dead end. The bright red guitar was found at the studio. It has no bearing on this case at all. That may very well be, however. An empty guitar case does seem to have no relation to this case. Seems that there's no deeper meaning to the guitar case. Well, Mr. Wright? Bruh, that guy is buzzing around again. Yeah, I want more details. Why did you open it? The empty guitar case. I believe this is a crucial piece of the puzzle. I can't believe anyone would reach for straws like this, but it is you. Oh my god, that fucking guy. Like, this is suburbia. There's no... Like, why aren't you going to the city to do this? Like, no one's watching. It's just a bunch of people and their kids. They don't care. No one cares. No one loves you. I can't believe I'm doing this either. Alright, I'll follow along, for now. Ms. Andrews, please testify to the court about the guitar case. Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor. What? Oh boy, accents. I don't remember too clearly because I was a bit dazed. I suppose I must have opened the guitar case after I knocked the vase over. It's not a big deal though, right? The case was empty after all. As for why I opened the case, even I don't know. Well, looks like this really wasn't a very important point. Shut the fuck up! This wastefulness is such a familiar feeling by now, it's almost comforting. Anyway, I'll just go ahead and start the cross-examination. Using anyway to change the topic. A convenient escape for a weak man. Edgeworth, what's gotten into you today? Zingers left and right. He's in top form. Alrighty, I don't remember too clearly because I was a bit dazed. Why were you a bit dazed again? During your testimony just now, did you remember those events clearly in your mind? Well, you see. Are you sure you're the one who opened the guitar case? She's waiting for someone to tell her if she should answer or not. I'm telling you! Her codependency is coming through, huh? I mean, I guess that's just one interpretation of this behavior. Maybe she just doesn't know how to answer. Yes, it was me. I suppose I must have opened the guitar case after I knocked the vase over. So, you opened the guitar case then? Yes, well, maybe. Why did you open the guitar case? Huh? Mr. Corrider's dead body was right there in front of you, wasn't it? I would think that the first thing you would do is call for help, not open a guitar case. As the witness has said multiple times, when she found the dead body, she was dazed. Maybe I was curious to know if the bright red guitar was all right or not. I thought maybe the criminal took it. Why would she care about the bright red guitar? But getting back on topic. So no big deal though, right? The case was empty after all. This whole thing is weird. Was it really empty? I was just wondering if maybe when you opened the case, the guitar was still inside. How long have you been a lawyer, Mr. Wright? Have a little professionalism. The bright red guitar was found at the studio. These trials would be over in half the time if you would just pay attention. Yes, pay more attention, Mr. Wright. Sorry, jeez, guys. She didn't even answer me. Oh my god, everyone's just ganging up on me. Everyone is so mean to me. Was that because you were shocked and dazed at discovering the victim's body? Yes, that's probably it. I'm not gonna get anywhere if I continue pressing her like this. The only way to make her talk is with evidence. Guess I should give it a try. Come on, Phoenix. We can't afford to let up on her now. I wasn't planning on letting up, but she's at her weakest now, so this is our chance. Yeah, if we had a weapon to hit her with. I'm sure a weapon is hiding somewhere in the court record, waiting to be found. Well, I have no idea what it might be. Which statement is weird? Must have opened the guitar case after knocking the vase over. I mean... She bumped into the vase, knocked it over, got water on it. Jeez. I'm not really sure. I feel like it's gotta... I'm gonna go ahead and try presenting the crime scene photo, because I've no idea. Okay, whoopsie doodle. This evidence clearly reveals the contradiction in that statement, Your Honor. How exactly are the evidence in the statement just now related? They aren't, are they? Not at all. Mr. Wright, please think the facts over before making accusations. I'm sorry! I don't think that won me any points with the judge. No, I don't think so either. The case was empty after all. There's Cory's fingerprints. Okay, I don't know what that was all about, but there is no way you were the one who opened the guitar case. Okay, because it doesn't have her fingerprints on it. You got it, my man. Why would you say that? God. It's oh my god. Elementary, my dear. I literally just started reading fucking Sherlock Holmes. Did you know that The Stallion Scarlet is about Mormons? I didn't. It's got Salt Lake City in it. I was like, that shit existed in Sherlock times? It's crazy. Because the only fingerprints in this guitar case are those of the victim. Ah! Well, you're in deep shit now, Ms. Andrews. What is it, Ms. Andrews? Well, I'm in deep shit. You shouldn't assume that I must have left prints just because I touched the case. What do you mean? What if I were to tell you that I was wearing gloves at the time? Gloves? But why would you be wearing gloves at the time? It was the night of the award ceremony, so of course I dressed up for the occasion. Yes, now I remember. I'm almost sure I was wearing a pair of thin gloves. I see. Well, Mr. Wright, it seems the witness was wearing gloves at the scene of the crime. That's strange, for some reason. You're wearing gloves? Isn't that a little strange? Why is that strange? Do you have something that would prove I was not wearing gloves at the time? Wait, yeah, there's her fingerprints on the thing. You want a fucking burger? We got the burger. I have your proof right here. This wine glass. The wine glass? Filled with juice? It's probably filled with wine, right? Did they just, like, lie to us? You left your fingerprints very clearly on this juice glass. Even if you took your gloves off when you poured yourself this glass of juice, wouldn't you think it was just a little strange that you put your gloves back on just to open the guitar case? Yeah! Wait, what? Did she scream so loud that her glasses exploded? That's dangerous. What if you go blind from that? Order, order, order! Looks like you hit the nail on the head this time. What do you mean? I believe that guitar case plays a very important role here. But it's just an empty case. I wonder if it really was empty, though. But the bright red guitar was at the studio. Oh, you know what? I bet he left it at the studio to bring some other shit with him. Well, I don't know. We don't really have any evidence of what that would have been yet. Probably something incriminating and worth murdering over. Phoenix, drop all of your presumptions. What was in the guitar case was not the bright red guitar. Excuse me, I misread that. You don't mean it was a bright white guitar? Wait, that's not right either. How the fuck does your head work? How are you a lawyer? I admit it would be unnatural for someone to do that. So the witness was not wearing gloves, despite the fact that on the case... Your Honor, this is obviously the defense's usual misdirection tactic at work. Steer the court towards an unrelated topic and lull us all into his misguided... Shut the fuck up, Edgeworth. No, Your Honor. Please recall that Ms. Andrews had testified that the vase fell onto the guitar case, which means that the case was closed when the crime took place. However, it is wide open in this photo of the crime scene. I am sure this guitar case has some relation to the murder. Like, seriously, if she didn't open it, then someone else visited the crime scene before the cops, and that's relevant. Someone took something from the crime scene, probably. If you are so sure, right, then I'm sure you can somehow substantiate your outrageous claim, correct? Please enlighten us as to why that guitar case has anything at all to do with this murder. Can you do that, Mr. Wright? Well, let's suppose for a second, that the bright red guitar was not the only thing that could have been in this case. The bright red guitar not being the only thing? You don't mean to suggest that a bright black guitar was... Not dignifying that, Your Honor. So you intend to push your theory that the case was not empty. Is that it, right? I wouldn't say something I didn't intend to prove. Yes, you would. You do all the time. Deflate that head of yours. You haven't proven anything yet. Now then, let's have it. What was inside this case at the time of the murder? I don't fucking know. I don't know. I have no idea. My badge, maybe. Okay, I don't think it would be this. That would be weird. Probably... Oh, I truly have no fucking clue, man. Juice? Button, maybe? And why would something like that be inside a guitar case, let alone this one? Why, Mr. Wright? Why? Well, I just thought it might have been possible. I have a suggestion. Why don't you put that in the void where your brain is supposed to be? Yes, and never bring it out again. Guys! Can't a foolishly foolish fool get some love? From the prosecution specifically? Do you think you can prove your theory? Can you prove that the guitar case was not empty at the time of the murder? I would say, okay, Jesus, there definitely is something that's in there, but I don't know. I don't know, man. Maybe the magazine. Okay, I don't know. I'm sorry, everyone. I'm embarrassing this whole courtroom with my foolishness. The knife? I'm just trying things, I'm sorry! I'm using my emulator skip powers. It wouldn't be this. No, because Lotta took that. Juice. I don't know why it would be in there, I'm sorry. Oh boy, I really should have saved when I had more health. It's okay, I can just replay it if I done goof. How about this? No, I don't know! I'm sorry, everyone. Camera. Wait, no. Wrong button. No. I'm out of ideas. This, maybe. Perhaps this. Okay. Well, You know what? I'm gonna take a moment. I'm gonna figure it out off screen, my friends. Welcome back, everybody. You're never gonna fucking believe this. It is actually this. This is the answer. This is a photograph. Every time it makes me laugh. Yes, but what is important is what is in that picture, Your Honor. Sip of water. In this picture, it doesn't take a genius to see what I mean. What I'm proposing is... Inside the guitar case was the Nickel Samurai, the hero's very own costume. That is a stretch. What? My thoughts exactly, Edgeworth. What are you fucking talking about, right? Mr. Wright, explain yourself. Right, are you saying that the witness opened the guitar case to take out a costume? What insane point would there be to doing something like that? Good question. That insane point would be to wear the costume, of course. Oh god, it really is just the fucking Steel Samurai all over again. Ms. Andrews put it on to hide her identity so she can make her escape. After all, you couldn't let anyone see you leave, could you, Miss Andrews? Wait, just someone saw you enter but no one saw you leave? I refuse to accept your theory. Do you have anything to support such a preposterous idea? Just outside the door was an investigative photographer who was starving for a big scoop. And in the end, she managed to get this shot, correct? You mean this photo? Damn, did she actually do it? Order! Order! Looks like we've wandered into quite another mess again, haven't we? Nice job, Phoenix. Well, you know my strategy. Speak first, think later. Sure is. So the real murderer was hiding inside a costume. Wait 1 second, Your Honor. The Nickel Samurai's costume would have been Mr. Madongarde's. Why would something of the defendant's be in the victim's room? And inside the guitar case of all places. True. That is a little baffling. Mr. Wright, the court would like to hear your thoughts. What was this Nickel Samurai costume doing inside the guitar case? It was probably stolen, right? I think it may have been stolen from Mr. On Guard. Stolen? But why would someone do such a thing? Maybe the thief wanted to interfere with the post-ceremony stage show. And so, if he didn't have his costume, then Mr. On Guard would be forced to go naked. Maybe you should be stripped naked and run out for making a mockery of this court. Edgeworth, can you, keep it in your pants for a second? I know we all want to see that. Excuse me? Appropriate response. Okay, and he's just breezing on by. He's not Mr. Madongarde did not take his costume off after the awards ceremony. He even testified that he took a nap while still wearing his costume. Is this not correct? Yeah, he did say something like that, didn't he? I'm sorry, the last time I heard him say that was days ago. That's what I thought. Let's try that one more time, shall we, Mr. Wright? Mr. Wright, the court would like to hear your thoughts. What was this Nickel Samurai costume doing inside the guitar case? I guess it was a spare. Mr. On Guard did not take his costume off during the break period. In that case, the costume we were talking about was a spare one. You got a lot of balls looking all confident and smarmy when you literally made this shit up at the top of your head and got it wrong the first time. What? Then, are you saying that on the night of the murder, there were 2 Nickel Samurai costumes at the Gatewater Hotel? Is that seriously the most unbelievable thing? Yes, that is what I'm saying. Calm down, everyone. And how do you explain the costume that was inside the guitar case? It would mean that the victim himself had planned to bring the spare to the ceremony. Yeah, I guess, but why? But why? Wait. Oh, okay. Juan wanted to, dress up as the Nickel Samurai and do that whole confession thing, because Matt said he had no idea that was happening. The victim, Mr. Corridor, was the Jammin' Ninja. Why would he secretly bring the Nickel Samurai's spare costume with him? What could be the reason behind such a peculiar act? So that's what he intended. What are you mumbling to yourself about now? Have you just been rambling all this time without any sense of inner monologue? Huh? No, I just... Mr. Wright, please explain yourself. This fucking case, man. Why do you think the victim had the spare costume? Phoenix, are you sure you can explain this one? Think carefully before you answer. And then answer with gusto. I believe in you. Alright, this is what I think. The reason the victim brought the Nickel Samurai spare costume to the hotel was... this thing. What is this? Yeah, I'm a genius. You guys don't have to congratulate me too hard. On the night of the murder, after the stage show, the Nickel Samurai was going to hold a special press conference. A press conference? What on earth is that? Yes, the Nickel Samurai was supposed to confess something at this conference. I heard about this as well. For once, you're not making something up, right? Edgeworth, can you please calm down? I know it's been a long time since some verbal jousting, but you need to reel it in a little bit. What struck me as strange was that Mr. JynxGod himself said he had no idea who was supposed to be holding a press conference that night. But how can that be? The way I see it, that can only mean one thing. The conference was set up by none other than the victim, Mr. Juan Corrida himself. The victim? Who's that? Yes. The spare Nickel Samurai costume was prepared for that very conference. Mr. Corrida was going to hold the press conference as the Nickel Samurai. And that's why he made sure that Mr. JynxGod was too EP to go. He was going to dress up as the Nickel Samurai and hold a conference. But why would the victim do such a thing? That's something I don't quite know yet. However, what I'm concerned with right now is what he intended to reveal at that conference. The Nickel Samurai was going to confess something. I got my voices mixed up. And by confess, I'd wager he was going to reveal something about himself. Which means that Juan Corrida, posing as the Nickel Samurai, was going to speak about Matt on guard. Yes, I guess that is what it would mean. But if that's the case, that's not a confession. That's public disclosure. Okay, well... Thanks, Edgeworth. Ms. Andrews? I can see why you are pros at what you do. Pardon me? Yes, just as you say, the press conference was set up by Juan. Ms. Andrews, please offer us an explanation for this. I was the one he asked to help set it up. And the person who prepared the second costume for him, that was also me. You? Juan had bet everything on the Jammin' Ninja this year. And if he lost the Grand Prix, he was going to make sure Matt was going down with him. That's what he thought, anyway. He was going to ruin him, huh? It looked like somehow Juan had his hands on a secret so powerful... Hold on one second. I got scared. Okay, we're good. That would destroy Matt's acting career had it been revealed. What? Well, can we hear it? Can we hear the secret? And you know what the secret of Mr. JynxGod's is, Miss Andrews? That's something only Juan knew. I don't know what it is. Ah, I see. I've probably been coming off quite suspicious to everyone. But that's to be expected. I've been trying to protect Matt, after all. Protect Mr. JynxGod? And yet again another strange bit of truth comes to light, it seems. Ms. Andrews, if you could please tell us the truth about your behavior. Yes, Your Honor. I understand. Protecting Matt. From the moment I saw the crime scene, I had a feeling that Matt was the murderer. Matt had to kill Juan no matter what. And he didn't have an alibi of what he was doing at the time of the murder. My thoughts were confirmed by the evidence, of course, the button and the knife. How'd you know about the button? But I'm Matt's manager, so I felt I had to protect him. I'm gonna press on that right away, I think. This does account for everything. Well, I am the logical type. I'm an ISTJ. We're finally seeing her true self. She's more nervous than a scared rabbit. She doesn't really look it. If there are no objections, I feel I can pass a verdict based on this testimony. No! Now then, Mr. Wright, if you please. Looks like somehow everything has swung to the opposite end of the scale again. That just means I have to put my weight into this and turn her logic upside down. Yeah, what's up with you fucking talking about the button? That was in his hakama. From when I saw the crime scene, I had a feeling that Matt was the murderer. I had to kill Juan no matter what. And he didn't have an alibi for what he was doing at the time of the murder. My thoughts are confirmed by the evidence, of course. The button and the knife. But that was like after. Okay, shit. Sorry. I jumped the gun. The witness's statement is clearly faulty, Your Honor. I'm sorry, but I can see nothing faulty. Unfortunately, I will have to penalize you, Mr. Wright. Okay! Ugh, I must be on the wrong track? Yeah, okay, my bad. I'll go back and press everything. Okay. Would you say that was your intuition speaking to you? Don't confuse my methods of reasoning with your own. I'm sorry, I misread the things. Ugh. If you want to prove that someone did something, you need 3 things. 3 things? A motive, an opportunity to commit the crime, and finally, decisive evidence. I swear her voice changes every time I do it, and if you think these 3 things through, the answer becomes quite clear. You should have already known that, Phoenix. They didn't teach that to us in school. At least not from what I remember. They definitely did, Phoenix! May I continue now? Matt had to kill Juan, no matter what. So would you say this need came from the press conference? Yes. Do you know why Juan chose that event in that hotel for the conference? Because that was when he could cause the most damage to the public's beloved Matt on guard. And you knew of this plan, didn't you, Ms. Andrews? Yes, because I was the one who set up the conference and prepared the costume. But I'm sure Mr. On Guard himself didn't know anything about a press conference. Oh, really? Can you show me any proof that he didn't know about the press conference? Anyway, the important thing here is that the information was not in your testimony. Yes, I agree. Ms. Andrews, please correct your testimony, if you please. Grasping at straws now, are we, Mr. Wright? Okay, I know what his motive was, but I don't have any way to prove I'm right. Has Mr. On Guard done something to hurt or betray you personally? Why do you ask? You were the one who helped Mr. Corridor with his press conference. That event was supposed to bring down Mr. On Guard, yet you still helped out. The person on trial right now is Mr. On Guard, right? What the witness was thinking, helping the victim with his plan, is none of our concern. In any case, that means that the defendant had a motive to kill. Why do I keep doing this to myself? What do you mean? He didn't have an alibi for what he was doing at the time of the murder. Okay. But didn't you already testify earlier that Mr. On Guard was taking a nap in his room? Are you telling me now that that too was a lie so you could cover for Mr. On Guard? I'm not telling you anything of the sort. When I went to get him for the show, he honestly was sleeping. However, as to whether he was sleeping the entire time, that I cannot say. I was too busy setting up the stage at the time. I keep trying, but I can find no flaws in what Miss Andrews has said. I can't say the same for some people here in this courtroom, however. The judge is glaring straight at Mia. Whoa! Can you do that? He's glaring at you, smart guy. My thoughts are confirmed by the evidence, of course, the button and the knife. Yeah, that's weird. You can hardly call the knife decisive evidence. The fingerprints on the knife could very well be a clever camouflage. Then, what about the button? The button? It's clear from the crime scene that the victim and the murderer fought. And during the fight, the killer ripped the button from the German ninja's costume. You're talking about this button, correct? That button was found in the pleats of Matt's Hakama, isn't that correct? I would think that makes it very decisive evidence. Looks like you're outfoxed again, Mr. Wright. Anyway, the knife doesn't prove a thing! Please fix your testimony! I can't stand the sight of a man who can't gracefully accept his defeat. Thank goodness Mia can still look at me. With an icy stare, yes. Ms. Andrews, for Mr. Wright's sake, please add this information to your testimony. That button was torn off of Juan during his fight with Matt. What is up with this statement? And how do you know that? When the ends of the threads on the button and the costume were matched up, they were found to fit together perfectly. Or so I heard. I've heard that before too. But why would Miss Andrews know about this case down to such a fine detail? Don't look at me like that just because I'm prepared and you are not. Ugh. I thought I had her this time for sure. If there's anything to trip her up on, it has to be here. But where and what? But I'm Matt's manager, so I felt that I had to protect him. But what you really did was stab the guy in the back, didn't you? And at the worst possible time. Who's to say she really stabbed the guy in the back, as you put it? This witness could have disclosed things about Mr. On Guard at any time. Why, then, would she wait until there was a large audience before doing so? It's the same reason why Mr. Corridor planned such an elaborate conference. Miss Andrews wanted to cause Mr. On Guard as much damage as she possibly could. This witness bears ill will towards the defendant. This isn't the Phoenix Wright Wax Philosophical Power Hour! And please stop slandering the witness. As I expected, Miss Andrews' testimony seems pretty solid. Really? Because to me it sounded a little wishy-washy. Wishy-washy? I guess we'll see if I press a little more. You should know this by now, but you'll need strong, decisive evidence to make her talk. Got it, Chief. I'm gonna pin you down this time, Miss Andrews. Oh, can I see? Okay. The moment I saw the crime scene, I had a feeling Matt was the murderer. There's a lot of things I could potentially object on, so I'm gonna go ahead and save. Because I've already lost a lot of HP. And I could very well die doing this. Let's try this again. Okay, so I looked up a walkthrough, and I don't quite know why, but apparently this is the answer. This is the victim's autopsy report. It clearly states that the cause of death was strangulation by a scarf. Strangulation? The knife stab to the victim was done after the victim had already died. And what does that mean? Let's examine the evidence. This button has the victim's blood on it, which would mean that it was ripped off the costume. When? After the knife was stabbed into the victim. Exactly. Which means it's impossible that this button was torn off during the victim's final struggle. Okay, I guess that makes sense. Because the victim was strangled to death in that fight. Ah! That's right, Ms. Andrews. There is no way this button was ripped off during the struggle. This button was consciously pulled off of just say it was pulled off the victim's body. It's redundant. It's incorrect. Stop doing it. I'll kill you. Order! Order! What is the meaning? What is the meaning of this, right? So what if the button was torn off the body after the victim had already died? What does that change? Let me ask you one simple question, Mr. Edgeworth. You gotta stop calling him that. Why was the button torn off? What purpose did that serve? What purpose? We now know this button was not torn off during the fight. So the murderer took the time and effort to purposely rip this from the victim's body. That would mean that the murderer had something in mind, wouldn't it? Mr. Wright, does this mean you know what the murderer wanted to do with this button? What was it? Pin the crime on guard. There's only one logical reason for doing something like that. It was to pin the crime on Mr. On Guard. There is no way anyone would put a bloody button in their own pants. That's right, Mr. On Guard was set up. By the real killer, of course. Maybe Ms. Andrews. Possibly. And the real murder is? Well, Mr. Wright, who in the world is the real killer then? Finally. I can't believe I managed to bring this trial all the way up to this point. Phoenix, you can't let your guard down yet. Not until the very end. The real killer, the person who planned to frame Mr. On Guard, is... you... Probably. Miss Adrian Andrews. I choose you! You are Mr. Corridor's killer. What? You gotta stop exploding your glasses, miss. How are you doing that? Order! 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 Mr. Wright! This is a very grave matter. Do you have any evidence that supports your charge? Not really, Your Honor. Any evidence? the evidence points to Miss Andrews. But how preposterous! You can't stick any of that on me! I can't, can I? Would you care to test me? Then what about this knife? The knife was used to stab the victim after he had already been strangled to death. It was used to throw suspicion onto Mr. JynxGod, naturally. The knife covering the defendant's fingerprints could only be taken from his room. And the only one who had dinner with him and knew which knife to take was you. What a weird sound effect. Then, what about the button that was found in Matt's hakama? This button was removed from the victim's body after he had already died. We literally just went over this. The only people who could have done so were the person who found his body or the killer. However, if Mr. JynxGod was the real killer, there is no way he would have put such incriminating evidence in his own hakama. How many glasses do you have? The only person who could have put this button into Mr. JynxGod's hakama is the person who went to wake him up from his nap, which is you yet again, Miss Andrews. I see. What about the empty guitar case? That is also another piece of evidence that incriminates Miss Andrews. Oh, she's hot. The costume was used to hide the real killer's identity as they fled the crime scene. Now, who could have known that there was just such a costume inside the guitar case? Could only have been the person who prepared the costume for the victim. And that person is you, Miss Adrian Andrews. No, She's kind of cutie. But Miss Andrews' fingerprints were nowhere to be found on the guitar case. And it was you who proved that she was not wearing gloves at the time. Well, obviously, Corridor opened it for her. That's right! That's because she did not intend on leaving any prints. If anybody had found out she had touched the case, they would have asked her why. So to avoid leaving any prints, she used a towel or something else to open it. Or that as well. But the glass of tomato juice is a different story. Miss Andrews purposefully left her fingerprints on the glass to show that, yes, indeed, she was the classic dazed discoverer of a dead body. Bit weird. Ah! And to top it all off, there is this photo. A photo of the killer as they exit the scene of the crime. No reasonable person on Earth can believe this nickel samurai is Mr. JynxGod. He would be much too short for his own costume if it was him. Speaking of how tall people are... I say this every day. Miss Andrews, you're also kind of short in stature, are you not? Please, stop. Well, how about it, Miss Andrews? I've got her this time, and I feel a little bad about it. Miss Andrews? I refuse to testify. What was that? There's a law. It says I can't be forced to testify about something if it can incriminate me. Wow, you're the first person to ever do this. Well, yes, you are absolutely correct, Miss Andrews. The law does provide us with a way to avoid self-incrimination, by allowing a witness to not testify if the testimony can cause damage to themselves. What? Phoenix, you should have known that. Pleading the fifth is not something that most people would think to do on the spot. Damn. Actually, thinking back to yesterday in Mr. JynxGod's room... Adrian Andrews! I'm glad they're showing this flashback because I totally forgot it happened. Yes? Think hard about what we just discussed. Understood? Oh, Von Karma totally told her. Alright. Well then. That's it. That's when Franziska planted this idea into her head. She must have told Miss Andrews to not testify if things look bad. You did a good job proving everything up to this point, Phoenix. But there is still one thing you haven't done. Something I haven't done. What's wrong, right? Are you finished already? Run out of evidence? Yeah. What is so humorous, Mr. Edgeworth? I'm sure you realize this as well, Your Honor. But everything the good lawyer here has proven up to this point is meaningless. What? Everything you have proven is circumstantial. Circumstantial? Yes, circumstantial. You have yet to provide a single piece of definitive proof. Proof that Miss Andrews did in fact harbor a wish to murder Mr. Corridor. Well, we have the things we promised not to talk about. Miss Andrews, did you want to kill Mr. Corridor? I believe this may lead to me incriminating myself, so I will abstain from answering. But Miss Andrews, if you do that, it would be the same as admitting your guilt, don't you think, Judge? You can't do that. Maybe so, or maybe not. There is nothing to prove it either way. Besides, you don't even know what crime I would be guilty of due to my silence. No! She's taking that defiant attitude again! Mia, what should we do? Somehow, we've landed in the worst possible situation. I think we have reached a certain conclusion at this point in time. Ms. Adrian Andrews has refused to testify. The defense's theory that she is the actual murderer has not been fully substantiated with solid definitive proof. But that's not true! In this situation, there is only one thing the court can do. And that is to declare a recess. Oh, okay, cool! Recess? I request that both the prosecution and the defense look further into this matter. And at tomorrow's trial... Tomorrow? We don't have a tomorrow. If you don't get a not guilty verdict today, then... Hold it! Please wait, Your Honor. That's not necessary. The trial... Please continue the trial. What are you sweating for? Does he know about Maya? I'm not sure he does. Your client is getting one more day to live, isn't he? That's not it. This isn't about that. Edgeworth, I know you know who the real killer is. Please. Oh wait, no, that's Phoenix. Lol. Please, let the trial continue. If I don't get the verdict, then Maya... Oh, he doesn't know. But it's impossible to continue as long as the witness refuses to testify. Now then, this court is... Oh, thank you! Thank you, sir! It is not impossible for this trial to continue. Mr. Edgeworth, what are you... It's true Ms. Andrews holds the right against self-incrimination. However, if the topic of conversation was something unrelated to whatever she may be guilty of, then she has no right to withhold testimony. Yes, that is very true, but thank God Edgeworth knows the law. Actually, there is one little thing I'm curious about. Ms. Andrews, when you found the victim's dead body, you poured yourself a glass of juice. Yes, and? I can't help but think how unnatural that is. Usually when one finds a body, they are shaken up, not stirring a glass of juice. This is meant to be like a James Bond wordplay. So my actions were unusual? But I've already... Before you speak, I want to state that if you have a reason behind your actions, I would like you to testify to that effect. Testify? Your Honor, I would like to request that the witness testify again as to what happened when she first discovered the victim's body. And we will do that on the next episode because although I took several breaks to do evidence and I'm no longer sure how long this episode is actually going to run for when I cut it. So thank you guys so much for watching. I guess we will figure out what the heck happened in the next episode. Bye bye!